Hello, students. Today we are here to discuss one more new topic, that is engineering ethics from Module 5 of your subject Effective Technical Communication. So let's begin and see what is inside it. Firstly, we have to understand what is engineering ethics. We all know that engineering is an important and learned profession. As you all, as members of this profession, you all are expected to exhibit the highest standards of honesty and integrity, which is a part of the ethics. So, ethics are moral principles that govern the engineer's behavior or simply the conduct of an activity. We all know that engineering has a direct and vital impact on the quality of life for all people. Accordingly, the services provided by engineers also require honesty, impartiality, fairness, and equity, and also must be dedicated to the protection of public health, safety, and social welfare. So, engineering ethics are those principles that engineers should follow under a standard professional behavior. Engineering ethics require adherence to the highest principles of conduct. That was in details. Here in the slide, you can get a gist of it. Now, let's move on to the next slide and see what is in it. Now, let's learn about the core ethics of engineers. Given below are 5 points which outline the core ethics of engineers. Firstly, it says engineers shall give prime importance to the safety, health, and welfare of people. It means that engineers shall approve only those documents that are at par with applicable standards. Engineers also shall not reveal facts, data, and information without the prior permission of their employers. Engineers shall not allow the use of their name in any business ventures with any person or firm that they believe is engaged in any dishonest acts. Under this point, also, we all must know that engineers shall not support the unlawful practice of engineering by a person or a firm, and must have awareness of any violation of the established code of conduct. And they also shall immediately report to the appropriate professional bodies or concerned public authorities. The second point says engineers shall perform only in the area of competence. That means engineers shall undertake assignments as per their qualification or their experience or expertise. They shall not affix their signatures on any plans or any kind of documents dealing with subject matter in which they lack competence. Engineers also should not accept assignments and assume responsibility for coordination of an entire project for which they have been officially assigned responsibility. Now, the third point says engineers shall issue public statements in an objective and truthful manner. That means engineers must be unbiased and truthful while preparing any kind of professional reports or statements or testimony. And along with that, they should also include relevant, factual, and pertinent information in such reports. Engineers may publicly express technical opinions only if they have sufficient knowledge of the facts, and also they must have competence in that particular subject matters. They shall issue no statements or criticisms or arguments on technical matters that are inspired or paid for by the interested parties, especially while they are being paid by their respective organization. The fourth point says engineers shall act as faithful agents or trustees. So, this in details means that engineers shall not accept any compensation or financial reward from more than one party for services on the same project. They also shall not accept financial consideration, maybe directly or indirectly, from outside agents. Lastly, the fifth core ethic of an engineer says engineers shall avoid deceptive acts. That is, an engineer must abstain from falsifying their qualifications and any kind of credentials. They should not misrepresent themselves as their or their associates. They should not exaggerate their assigned responsibility. Also, engineers shall not offer or accept any kind of gifts or other valuable consideration in order to secure any kind of work. They shall not pay a commission or a percentage or brokerage fee in order to secure any kind of work. This sums up the core ethics of an engineer briefly. Let's move on to the next slide. So, the present slide outlines the professional ethics of engineers. The first point says engineers shall exhibit the highest standards of honesty and integrity. There are many things which comes under this particular point. It is engineers must follow their proper code of conduct. That is, if they are, for example, if they are doing any error or have committed any mistake, they shall acknowledge their errors and shall not distort any kind of facts. They shall also inform their clients or employees in due course of time when they believe maybe a project will not be successful within the time. Engineers also should not accept outside employment which may disturb their regular work or interest. Now, before accepting any outside engineering project or undergoing any educational course, they must notify their employers beforehand. Also, engineers shall not attempt to attract an engineer from another employer by giving any false or misleading statements. So, all this comes under the following the highest standards of honesty and integrity. The next slide is about professional ethics. Now, as you all can see, there are just 2 points which outlines the professional ethics. While discussing the 2 points, I'll go into details. So the first point reads, engineers shall exhibit the highest standards of honesty and integrity. So there are many things which comes under honesty and integrity of an engineer. Firstly, engineers shall not hide any facts. So if there is any error or mistake, they must acknowledge that and shall not distort any facts. Secondly, they shall inform their clients or employers in due course of time when they believe that a project may not be successful. An engineer also shall not accept any outside employment, which in result may disturb their regular work or interest. Also, before accepting any outside engineering project or undergoing any educational course, they must notify their employers. Finally, an engineer shall not attempt to attract another engineer from another employer by giving false or misleading statements. Now, the second point reads, engineers shall serve in favor of public interest. So, it's for young engineers like you all, where it is being said that you all must be encouraged to participate in social affairs and career guidance events. You all must work for the advancement of the safety, health, and well being of the community. You all, as engineers, should extend your public knowledge and appreciation of the engineering branch and its achievements. And one most important thing, engineers should follow the principles of sustainable development of natural resources and also optimum utilization of natural resources. Finally, the most important issue nowadays which should be dealt by young engineers is that they should work for the conservation of natural resources and protect the environment for the future generation. So that sums up the professional ethics of engineers briefly. Let's see what is in the next slide. The next slide is about few more important ethics other than professional and core ethics of engineers. Now, the first point says engineers shall not attempt to obtain employment or advancement or professional engagements by criticizing other engineers. So this is very pretty clear to you all. Engineers shall not accept personal responsibility, shall accept the personal responsibility for their professional activities. And third point says that engineers shall continue their professional development throughout their careers, advancement activities, courses, or participating in continuing educational courses, reading the technical literature, also maybe attending professional meetings and seminars where thereby you update your technical knowledge as well as expertise. Along with this, we also must include points like engineers in private practice shall not review the work of another engineer for the same client except with the knowledge of such engineer as well as the client. And as engineers, you all must follow the state registration laws in the practice of engineering or their assigned duties. And engineers' designs, datas, and records and notes referring exclusively to an employer's work are solely the employer's property. So engineers should protect and defend the use of that information only for organizational purpose. So all this sums up the engineering ethics briefly. It outlines firstly what is engineering ethics, then the core ethics of an engineer, and finally the professional ethics and the other important ethics as an engineer. I hope I have discussed clearly all the ethics of an engineer that is going to help you all. Thank you.